I'll invite Mr. Kandala to share with us some of projects that are funded under CDF in Shungu Ward.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kandala, Councillor Livingstone for Shungu Ward. Before I main projects that are being done under Shungu Ward, allow me to just define CDF. CDF is Constituency Development Fund, and it was introduced in 1995 in Zambia. So the main area that CDF focuses upon is the school facility, health facilities, water supply system, gravel road networks, and other items that the community feels they should sort out. Okay, so it has components. The 60% component of the CDF is community projects, while the 20% component is women, youth, and community empowerment. Then the other 20% is secondary boarding school and skills development bursaries. Just some introduction on CDF. As Shungu Ward, before we talk about these few successes that we've had, allow me to highlight some of the challenges that we have faced as a ward when it comes to CDF representation. As you may aware that CDF has a composition of stakeholders representing from the social groups and the other departments of the society, and 3 councillors, the ones that sit on the CDF committee. So the challenge we have, especially looking at a ward like Shungu Ward, which is a rural ward, you find that there is literally 0 representation on the CDF committee, because even these other groups that comprise of the CDF committee, they come from the town wards, the wards which are in town, where the meetings are held. So you find that for us who are from the village, there's literally no one that represents our needs when it comes to lobbying for projects and these other empowerment programs under CDF. I must mention that there are 3 councillors that sit on the CDF committee, and if you were to even do a fact finding on Livingstone's constituency, if you look at the way projects have been tailored, in most cases they are biased towards the 3 wards where the councillors come from those that sit on the CDF committee, and those who come from civil societies and other groups. Also, none of them will come from a village to sit on the CDF committee. So you find that we are at the mercy of I don't know if it's at the mercy of God for us to be funded, because there are other issues where you find you are some issues like, as we debate in the council, maybe you wouldn't want to oppose the councillor that sits in the CDF committee with you during the CDF elections. So these are the things that need to be looked at when it comes to the composition of CDF. That's our biggest challenge for us councillors who are running rural wards. We don't have any representation in CDF. I would love to mention one thing, like for this year's consideration for empowerment grants. So the councillors that sit on the CDF committee, the 3 councillors, they are topping the list on the cooperatives that are being funded. One of them is having 15 cooperatives being considered for funding, others, and those are considered for a maximum of 40,000 a quarter, because that's the maximum. So when you look at some of these issues, 15 cooperatives from one ward, and when you look at the ward like Shungu Ward, which is coming from the rural, there's literally 0 cooperative that is being considered. So when you look at the top 3 because we had about 123 cooperatives being considered. So you find a certain ward for a council house is on the CTF has 15 cooperatives. Then the previous one he had 8. Then the others, the previous one they had 1. Now they have 0 because they don't sit on the CTF committee. And because none of those from the civil society comes from the village, so they wouldn't know really what challenges are in Shungu Ward. So I feel the representation needs to be checked again to see how people can be represented in rural wards, because that is the biggest challenge. I think I'll continue expressing myself. Yeah, so this is one thing I wanted to make mention. It is good that we have people from the ministry so they can take that up. Apart from that, I don't want to mention other challenges, so they might dilute the main one that is burning inside my heart, which is the same one for representation. Yeah, so I'll just leave that one so that they don't forget. They take that one as the main complaint and the main challenge that we. This also happens when it comes to issues of community development. You find that these wards, they will give themselves 1.4 million. It's year back to back. So you will be given 500, others will be given, there's a particular one which was given 50,000 kwacha in Livingstone. While others are getting 1.4 million in the same constituency. Now the 1.4 million goes to a councillor who sits in the CDF committee. So the other councillor even got 100,000 kwacha, while others are getting 1.2, 1.3 million back to back. So now how do you tell to say the CTF has been increased so that it can reach the ground, the grassroots, when in the actual sense it's not even reaching the grassroots, it's reaching the councillors that sit on the CTF committee. Before this was changed, I think CTF projects used to be brought to the council for the decision of councillors because they represent all the wards. You have a say, you have a chance to lobby and debate and justify why some of their projects are being applied by people. But in this case, we don't even know when they are sitting. You'll only be given a final list to say you have been left out. Where do you complain to? It's difficult. There's no platform where even when you complain, there will be changes made. You will just be told to try again next year. So how are we going to make the vision for CTF be actualized when we have these issues that have not yet been ironed out? And I think it's my appeal is that we need to, since it's something which we are still building and developing these CTF guidelines. Let's look at that one. Because representation for some words will never be there if we leave it like this going. Others are using CTF as a political weapon. Others they use it to punish their colleagues. So it shouldn't be like that. There should be a measure, a system that is so strong that will be beyond human emotions. You fight with the council of the CTF committee, forget about your word being considered. Should it be like that? Innocent people shouldn't suffering because of personal problems that happen in councils. Okay, so this is something I think was supposed to be meant for the bedroom, but if it's in the bedroom, it will never be sorted out. And I want it to be sorted out because as much as we are here to present our people, we need to present them correctly and objectively. So having expressed my anger towards that challenge, allow me to mention a few things that we have at least achieved. And I think for me, in my ward, I am very close and we work very closely with JCTR to give them these social audit tools. So when you go in Shungu Ward, everyone else has something they'll tell you to say. If they see a contractor, they'll go to a contractor and ask the contractor questions. And the contractor will be scared sometimes because these people have been trained to ask questions about what is happening in their wards, okay, the processes. So I think there has been a very big improvement when it comes to the mindset change of Shungu Ward because of this capacity building that JCTR has done to Shungu Ward. I must mention that we've had projects funded from the first allocation of CTF by the New Dawn government. And in my ward, we had a challenge, especially in the village called Songwe village, where the whole village would depend on one bore, one hand pump. So you find an old woman, someone who goes to fetch water from 8 would leave the place maybe around 14 to 16. Now, how do you find that even water is made, is fetched in priorities. So this water which is in the bucket, you cannot bath, it's only for drinking and for maybe cooking, because just accessing it in good quantity is a challenge, because it means you have to be at the hand pump for almost 7 to 8 hours. So we thought that was a big need, because when you look at the hierarchy of needs from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, water is a basic need that has to be everywhere. So we successfully sank 3 boreholes in each section, because we have 3 sections in Songwe village. So in each section, we had put 3 boreholes. That was supposed to be a phase 1, but we thought, as we are waiting for phase 2, for the water scheme, for the dams, and for the solar-driven hand pumps, solar-driven submersible pumps, let's put hand pumps as we are waiting for people, so as we are waiting for the second phase. So we had to put hand pumps so that people can be able to access water. And I think there has been a good response and a great improvement. When one goes to fetch water, they are able to come back within 10 minutes. So now they have water for all it's needed, even for bathing, even for other things. So that's one thing I can mention from one section of Shungu Ward. We've managed to sink 3 boreholes, but equipped with hand pumps, as we have applied this time for them to be equipped with tanks as the water scheme for each section. And then under the same CGF, we also did a water scheme at the local school. So what used to happen at the local school, it was connected to Southern Water and Sanitation Company. But because of the number of pupils going to that school, it was becoming a challenge for the school to pay water bills. So from time to time, first school and close the water. So you find how the pupils now access sanitation when there's no water. So we thought that was also a priority, because it marries the 2 needs, education and water as basic needs. So we put out a water scheme at the school. The project was worth 300,000 kwacha. The water scheme came with renovation of a toilet and ablution block, because they were using different needs. Now, the one which was the one which was being shown on the screen, that is not at the school. The school never had a grass-thatched toilet of some sort. That was at the market. So at the school, there were only peach trees, and they're not healthy. They are very pungent smells. That they are closed classes. So we thought, let us find a way of revamping the water ablution block, and through the same funding for the water scheme, what remained went on to renovate the ablution block, and now it is being accessed. It is working properly. Water is going to the ablution block, and also we've been extended the water to the teachers' compound. Okay, so that is what we have done so far under CTF, with an allocation of 500,000 funds. So I don't know if I have to comment on the grass dust at the market, or that's fine. I don't know. Okay, so that one at the market, there was a toilet which was being constructed. I believe it was under the local equalization fund. It was labor-based, and when labor-based contracts are being done, at any time the council finds a 5,000 kwacha, they will send it over. Sometimes they will buy equipment on their own and then leave it there. So you find the contractor who was paid before the work was done. So even the motivation for him to continue when he's getting these materials in bits, maybe after 3 months, he loses interest in continuing with the project. So that's how that project started. The structure is there, the boats are there, others are getting damaged. So the people now resorted. Actually, the one who built that grass dust thing was not necessarily the market people, but one of the ladies who was selling beer behind because when you're selling beer, you have people frequenting a toilet. So she thought actually that she needed something for people to be accessing the toilet as they are drinking beer. As far as we are concerned, that the school, the market did have a toilet. So they also started using the same one. That is how now it was captured like that. And it's a pity that it still remains like that. The other factor would remain in also community participation, because we hold meetings right at that same market. But you know, when you ask for submissions, they'll give submissions and you cannot direct them on what to submit, because we are not allowed. We are just supposed to get what the majority wants for that section. And what they were submitting for was the school, because they thought the school needed water, their challenges, and the other submissions. So when we had this project, JCTR, we actually exhausted those points and encouraged people to be submitting things, especially things to do with sanitation. And now we even opted to say we are going to fix that toilet that remained using the World Development Fund, because there's only, I think, a small amount of money remaining to complete it. So we assured them, so we committed for this year and finish that toilet. So that is the status about that toilet. There's even another toilet at the bus station, which was constructed, fully furnished. It was well done, everything was okay. But again, there was an issue of maintenance. So who buys the chemicals? Because there was no sense of ownership from the people, the bus drivers, because it was just a station at the border for people who live in town. So the bus drivers would come, drop off the people, pick, and then go. So it was a bit sensitive, it was a bit difficult to attach it to some people to be responsible for the toilet. So they ended up abandoning the toilet because of those same factors, and then they'll go behind the toilet and probably maybe urinate from behind the toilet. So that one, we had a meeting again where we gave them to say, this is now your toilet. So give yourselves timetables on how you'll be maintaining and buying chemicals. So that was done, and we are yet to make a follow-up when I come back from Osaka. So I thought that was all with my presentation, unless there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Handler, for that extensive presentation of Shungu Ward's experience. And I think we'll be also looking forward to hearing other experiences from other wards. But one of the things that was highlighted in Mr. Handler's presentation was the major challenges that they're facing in Shungu Ward, which I'm sure other wards also face. So I think to also usher us into the next discussion will be Mr. Hector from the Ministry of Local Government, who will share with us some of the current initiatives in place to improve key processes in the CDF. Where are these challenges coming from, and what can be done differently? Mr. Hector, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. And, good morning. Good morning to you all. My name is Mr. Hector. As the moderator mentioned, I'm coming from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. I'm a senior local government officer. And I think the previous honorable councillor has actually laid the foundation. He's given the background of CDF and where we are, where we're coming from. But perhaps to begin my presentation, I just want to bring up to speed that as a ministry, our mandate basically is to coordinate the implementation of centralization programs in local governance. And in all this has to do with the well-being of the people, and also enhance community participation in governance issues. Because government is about people, so we are there basically to enhance and ensure that people receive the services that they need. And to ensure that decentralization is achieved, we have CTF, which has come now to actualize the decentralization. And what's the purpose of CTF? We normally say CDF is there to give a smile to the people, because whatever component, whatever project that is being done, at the end of the day, we anticipate that there will be a smile on someone's face, be it infrastructure development, be it bursaries around secondary school and skills development. When people attend these skills, when they are able to improve their livelihood, they'll have a smile. Be it loans and grants, I think this is where people have more smiles because they get to access real money. Now, to understand some of the bottlenecks that perhaps we have had, I just want to share with you the general structure of the structures, the governance structures. You agree with me that governance starts at the local level, and the lowest organ that is recognized is WTC. These are people, elected by the communities themselves. Of course, within the ward, we have zones. These are zonal heads that now interact with various, zones in the ward. Then beyond that, we have the CDFCs. Okay. These recommend and prioritize projects that come from the communities. And of course, we have the local authority and the line departments. Of course, there's devolution around. So all these players, they have a role to play. And this sub-national structure is actually meant to deliver services. These are the ones who are implementers. And from the national end, we have the provincial offices who provide oversight to the local. Of course, we have the ministry, and I'm sure it is given that you know that we have about 116 local authorities. 96 of these are councils, and 15 are municipal councils, and then we have 5 which are city councils. We have 156 constituencies, 1,858 wards. So that means we have 1,858 councillors across the nation. Now, in this whole value chain, all these people and structures that are highlighted, they have a role to play in ensuring that CDF, it meets the intended purpose. And in doing so, we have different processes and activities that these players undertake to ensure that CDF is implemented. Now, to implement CDF, we have a legal framework that backs how CDF is implemented. Of course, it's mentioned in the Constitution, so CDF is constitutional. And also, we have the CDF Act, which also outlines how CDF should be administered. And from that, we have also the guidelines, the CDF guidelines that were developed, that now give specific, action points and the roadmap of how actually CDF must and should be implemented. Beyond the guidelines that are published as a ministry, from time to time we do issue, implementation circulars or circulars to guide local authorities on issues that we realize, say, we didn't attend to this matter initially. So these circulars are meant to enhance the processes across the players so that CDF is implemented smoothly. Now we have been talking about the bottlenecks. I think this is one tip which has really bottlenecks in CDF implementation. I think these have been highlighted by different stakeholders and input. As a ministry, we have received input from various stakeholders. But among all these, I wish to share with you some of the initiatives that the ministry has, implemented to ensure that CDF is implemented, without any hurdles. First of all, through these structures, I think what has come out more is about issues of capacity. This is across all structures. It's given that CDF, we came from 1.5, and then we just received, CDF is now 25.8 million, begin to run with it. I think as structures we are not so much ready to handle this. And from the time from 2022, 2021, when we began implementing the enhanced CDF, government, the ministry, and various stakeholders, they've come on board to build capacities for different structures and players. And this is a continuous process. It's ongoing, and we are building capacities from one level up to the ministry level. So we are leaving no one behind. There are a number to understand the law, the legal framework, to understand the processes, to ensure that CDF, is implemented, and people who handle this, continue improving their capacities to ensure that CDF is implemented, smoothly. Then you may recall also that the ministry used to approve all projects from 156 constituencies. And last year we managed to delegate this authority to the provincial offices. And as we speak now, approval of all CDF projects in at the provincial level. And we are working to ensure that this authority actually should be taken to the district. I think this is something which is work in progress, because we realize that decentralization, people should be able to make decisions and do things as they please. Of course, it comes with strengthening systems. So we are in discussions with various stakeholders, government institutions that have a role to play in this sector, to ensure that now perhaps we move this authority from the province and take it to the district. What the Honorable Councillor mentioned an issue of allocation of projects being biased. I think some of these things are perhaps due to the legal framework that we have, the composition of the CDFC, how are people taken to or appointed to the CDFC. I think there's talk around that, to say perhaps maybe the appointment is quite skewed. And I'm happy to report to you that as a ministry, we are reviewing the CDF Act. Okay, because that what gives us power, or that it operationalizes the implementation of CDF. So as we stand now, the Act is being reviewed, and this is one of the issues that I think has been looked at, and we are hopeful that it is going to be approved. It's already before Parliament. The first reading was made in Parliament, and we are hopeful that the next steps are going to be fruitful, so that we see how better we can improve this activity. I also want to report that as a ministry, we looked at issues of staff capacities, and local authorities, they have the necessary structures to ensure that CDF officers, the right officers to implement and support the implementation of CDF. One, structures for local authorities were reviewed, okay, and approved. And if you've been following, the Service Commission this year, I think the first half of this month, they advertised. And this is around engineers as well as socioeconomic planners. These are key officers in the implementation of CDF. Last year also as a ministry, we employed provincial engineers. We realized that monitoring, supervision is key. So I can confirm to you that all provinces now, they have engineers. This is all in an effort to build capacity capacitate the institutions that are running CDF so that all these bottlenecks that we have observed in the past are attended to. We have also revised the timelines for approval of these projects. I think previously it was taking over 3 months just for approvals to be granted. As we speak now, these timelines were revised, and we are looking at around 70 days. Okay, projects should be approved. But beyond that, for community projects, you understand that the Office of the Attorney General has got a role to play in approving these projects. Also, this office has decentralized to provincial levels, and projects are also being approved at provincial level. So this office has also delegated some of the functions to ensure that there's the turnaround time around the approval process of community projects is reviewed. We also engaged banks. I think loans are also taking a long time to be disbursed. Banks have been engaged, and there's a service level agreement that have been signed to ensure that the timeline for reviewing this or for the appraisal is shortened, and we are hopeful that loans going forward are going to be disbursed in a short period of time. Now, CDF, I also, because it's laid the foundation for me, it laid the foundation for me. And development should be structured. People have said if you fail to plan, then you have failed. So you need to plan and begin to implement. So as a country, we have a developmental framework that we are running with. And also beyond that, we are promoting integrated development plans. These are district development plans. So as a ministry, we have actually, prioritized the development of these IDPs. I think Southern Province, all districts in Southern Province, they have IDPs. And I believe Livingstone also should have an IDP. So what is an IDP? It's just a planning or strategic document that outlines the plans that a given district has. And what we are intending to do as a ministry, once local authorities have their IDPs, then CDF or projects under CDF should be drawn from the IDPs. It's a 5-year to 10-year plan, so no one to come in this area are going to do these projects, because the communities would have selected the plans that they want to do. If it's water, the project was water, then roads, so they prioritize, and even they mentioned to say this clinic, this hospital, this school should be at this place. So the IDPs then will inform what projects should be done. So this is what we are working. Other local authorities have said they already have the IDPs, and these are developed. Engagements are being done from the zones. Wards develop their plans. So an IDP is a collection of ward development plans. So we want to ensure that no project is going to be implemented outside the that is going to be established by the local authority. So this is a key document for us, and we're going to ensure that these influences that people are talking about, no, there's this influence, do this project from this person. Once the communities who agree, it won't be an issue of no, the honorable councillor said no, I want this, no, the honorable member, but the people would have decided, and projects are going to be implemented according to this plan. As I conclude, I also want to indicate to you that we have streamlined the procurement process. I think local authorities now are able to approve procurement of any project under 1 million. So I think that's a step in the right direction for us, because certain processes won't be delayed, and projects under 1 million are going to be approved at district level, and it's going to be implemented. We're also exploring the issue of pre-procurement, where we try and beat time for projects that take long, where as paperwork is being done, there should be procurement, of course, in line with the guiding laws around procurement, but certain process should be done so that once approval is given, the implementation shouldn't take. We have also promoted the issue of one government policy, where CDF is not for Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. It's for everybody. So its implementation should draw stakeholders from various institutions, government institutions, non-governments, so that as we begin to implement, everybody should be on board, so that we strengthen the issue of monitoring, reporting, supervision, so that all players should have a role to play. We don't want no issues of death. It should be the Ministry of Education to give us those statistics. It should not be Ministry of Local Government. Issues of water supply, it should be the ministry. We should have personnel at district level from this. So all these initiatives are meant to ensure that we strengthen the collaboration at district level. We have also provided for WTCs. I think that question, I think, came. And WTCs have been provided for in terms of support, where let them come up with budgets. I think WTCs also, they know what they need to do. The WTCs in Livingstone, WTCs in Chavuma, they've got different needs. WTC in Lusaka and Feira, they'll have different needs. So what we have guided is that let WTCs come up with their budgets. Okay, what is it that they need from CDF? And we're also exploring the issue of procuring or constructing offices for the WTCs. We understand the risk that is coming with individuals keeping some of these files in their homes. So we're looking at having a central place, offices where all these things are going to be done. Then we have been working on an information management system. This is to just strengthen processes and cut out certain processes that may hinder, that may enhance the turnaround time. So we are incorporating ICT in our operations, and some of the systems some of the modules have been developed, though not yet. They have not been, given to local authorities, but their systems the system is being developed, the CDF information management system, which will have various modules on all processes that affect the implementation of CDF. But beyond that, we have also standardized buildings. What we have looked at the quality of certain buildings and infrastructure that is coming on board. There have been queries around that. So as a ministry, we have standardized certain drawings and also builds, so that we have standard structures that are going to be put up. So these are among the initiatives that the ministry has put up, and we are working on to ensure that CDF is implemented smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hector. I think we can greatly appreciate the wealth of knowledge we're receiving here in understanding the mechanisms or the processes where we can even continue our work. Now we know where to go, which offices to visit, and the right channels we're supposed to use for all these processes. And I think we can move on to our next panelist. And at the center of our discussion is still ensuring that we work together to enhance public finance management systems in the country. And I think next we will listen to what the Auditor General is doing in order to maximize or enhance transparency and accountability in public finance management. Over to you, Mr. Shungu.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
The Office of the Auditor General, our mandate comes from the Constitution. And basically, our mandate is to provide oversight on all government and other institutions that receive any funding from the government. With regards to the local authorities, we have the mandate to ensure that we audit all the 160 local authorities. To this effect, and in line with decentralization, we have reorganized our office. So the provinces have been upgraded to directorates, meaning that decision making has now been given to provinces. We are sure that if decision making is closer to the local authorities, we enhance us to ensure that we speedily audit all the local authorities. You agree with me that it's just human that when there's no one watching you, we are more inclined to do it wrong. So we are sure that if we are there every day knocking on the doors of local authorities, at least they will be saying it here and they will be inclined to do the right thing and not the wrong thing. Secondly, we are working with the Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Finance, and Shaibana Training Institute. This is to help capacitate our colleagues from local authorities. We realize that acquiring the qualification from the classroom is different from you actually doing the work. The people placed in these institutions are fully qualified to undertake the work that they are supposed to do. But we see that queries are coming out every day, year after year, and most of those queries are basically repetitive queries. So you will find that sometimes it's not that people want to do the wrong, but that they don't fully understand what is expected of them in terms of managing these resources for the local authorities. They have the MBA, they have the TPD, but when you come to implementing what is in local authorities, it's a different body. And local authorities being local authorities, it's a complex system that is there. So if you don't fully understand what local authorities are about and what is expected of you, sometimes not willing, but you find yourself doing the wrong things. So we realized that and we thought it necessary to work with these institutions I mentioned to capacitate our colleagues in the local authorities. We also realized that citizen participation, the locals, the constituents, their participation is key. Like it was earlier alluded to, we opened the toll-free line. This is to help us get information from the local people that they can tell us what their observations are. Because of course we are not on the ground every day, but people in the zones, in the wards are there every day and they are seeing what is happening. So we realize that it's important for us to get information from these people on the ground, which then we can follow up as we do our audits. And this so far has been a success. We've been getting quite a good amount of information coming from the people in the wards and the zones themselves. Also, we've been undertaking roadshows, which I'm now still continuing with this. This is the aim of this is to sensitize people about what it is that we do, and that we are open. We are open because in the past, people used to think that we are unapproachable, that our office is not accessible. But we want to make it known to the people that our office is actually open to you. We are here to save you. So you can access this if you have information, you can access our offices, bring information to our offices so that maybe as we are doing our audits, we can follow up on those things. The other thing we have done is we are working with the National Assembly, the Minister of Finance. We realize that sometimes, not sometimes usually the principal officers with their teams, when they appear before the parliamentary committee, they sit there, discussions happen, and they are told what they are supposed to do. When they go back, it's business as usual. And they know that those things will stay like that since they appear before the parliamentary committee. So we have developed a mechanism to follow up on those things after they appear before the parliamentary committee, so that we see where things are being resolved and those that are not being resolved, why are they not being resolved? You agree with me that when they are sitting before the parliamentary committee, they make a lot of promises and commitments on what action they will take when they go back. But when they go back, they get back to the last mood and life continues as usual. Following year, we go there, we find the same issues, they are taken to parliament, and they still give the same excuse and the same commitments. More so with the transfers that are happening by the commission, there I find that when it's audited under one local authority, maybe today is audited under Sonsongo, tomorrow is transferred because to another district. So when it's appearing, you say, no, I'm only here 2 months. So I'll take the corrective measures. But even where it's coming from, there are irregularities. So we want to see that those issues that we raise and are taken to parliament, they are concluded on even after they appear before parliament. Then last year, I can say that we have now started. I'm sure you are aware that we used to produce one report under local authorities. But now we are producing two. Because producing one report, we realized we are being restrictive in what information production we now. You agree with me that reading is not a habit for most of us. So if we are going to have a 500-page document and we are told to read just by the side of the document, we are completely defeated. So we realize that if we separate the reports so that it's not so bulky, it would encourage people to do that. So we have a separate constituency development fund reports, specifically on the CDF activities. In that way, I think we will bring more information about what is happening on the constituency development fund. So ideally, for now, basically, those are the initiatives that our office is taking on, which I thought we needed to share with you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us the work of the Auditor General's Office. And last but not the least, we're going to have our last speaker, Mr. Charles Shimba from National Assembly, just to give us a little bit more insight into the role that National Assembly plays in the public finance management system. Over to you, Mr. Shimba.
Thank you very much. I was very fascinated by Mr. Cesar. The mosquito as an example of how things can be so small and yet so bothersome. Actually, last night I woke up to a mosquito which had infiltrated my neck. I don't know. It's a very small insect, but such a nuisance. You can't sleep just to hear that it is around. Even before it bites you, just the knowledge that it is around is you just become sleepless. Yeah. So I think most of us know what Parliament is there to do, but just for record, I'll try and take you through some of the things that are related particularly to financial management. The authority of Parliament to exercise its oversight over the executive, which is the other arm of government, is derived from the Constitution of Zambia. And so it provides that the legislative authority of the republic is vested and exercised by Parliament. Now, in exercising that authority, it does the functions like lawmaking, we all know about that. It represents the electorate. Then it scrutinizes the budget and approves it. And in doing this, apart from business being conducted in the main house, where all the members of parliament sit, there are committees that are instituted. And we all know what a committee does. At least in the committee, there's detailed scrutiny of issues which may not be possible in the whole house because of the numbers. And I think we know that even in our own families, when there is a wedding, something, we break ourselves down into a small unit that is able to manage those affairs. And so that is what is referred to as the committee system. Generally, when members come, when they are elected, the first thing that happens, as you might remember, is the appointment of the cabinet. And because in our Zambian situation, cabinet is appointed from among the members of parliament, the president first of all has to make his choice from the members elected. So that then the remainder of the members of parliament that are not ministers are the ones that are given or allocated these committees that are going to do the oversight over the executive. And that means committees are constituted from the backbenchers. And the backbencher is one, whether opposition or from the ruling, who does not hold a ministerial position. Okay, so those are the ones that are appointed to these committees. And they undertake the work like scrutiny of government activities and make recommendations to the House, consider bills, petitions, international agreements and treaties, and special audit reports like my namesake was going about the audit reports that come to Parliament. The different types of committees have different functions. Some are ad hoc. That means they are appointed for a specific purpose and period, after which they are disbanded. Like when the president is appointing a judge or someone who's going to hold a constitutional office, the names are brought to Parliament for scrutiny. And so you're not going to have a committee that is constituted but not doing anything. So these committees are constituted as and when the need arises. That's why they are called ad hoc or select committees. When they do that job, they are disbanded and members go to their normal business, which is other committees. But the one that is applicable to the purpose for today are called general purposes committees. Now, of course, within the band of standing committees, these are committees now that are constituted and they last for the life of Parliament. We know that the life of Parliament is 5 years. So after an election, these committees are appointed. The standing committee appoints these members to these committees, and they last for the life of Parliament, whereas the ad hoc ones are disbanded as and when they do their business. So within the standing committees, we have the general purposes committees and portfolio committees. Portfolio committees are related to ministries, as their name suggests. I think most of us remember that there was a time the late President Michael Sata was a minister without portfolio. I don't know how many of us were old enough to remember that. Yeah, meaning that he had no ministry per se. He was a minister, but he had no ministry to supervise. So he was a So when we talk about portfolios, we're talking about ministry. So there is a kind of mirroring between Parliament and the executive, so that each committee oversees the functions of one or two ministries. That's why they are called portfolio committees. But general purposes committee oversee issues that are cross-cutting, which may not necessarily relate to one ministry. That's why they are called general purposes. And this is where the committee, the Public Accounts Committee, I think all of us here know what the Public Accounts Committee does. This is where the Public Accounts Committee falls. It is a general purposes committee because it can deal with any matter from anywhere. Within there, we have financial accountability committees, and public accounts is one. But we also have local government accounts. Like I said earlier, right now that committee is sitting to consider the Auditor General's report on the utilization of CDF in 2022. Yeah. Yeah, so we have a synergy between the planning and budgeting committee, the local government accounts, and the parastatal bodies. Those are the three committees that sit under the general purposes committee. We also have delegated administration. Delegated administration deals with how, when you delegate to authority, because like I said in the beginning, it is the mandate of Parliament to enact laws. But when that function is delegated to local councils, for instance, then it becomes delegated legislation. And so this committee deals with how statutory instruments, for instance, are being implemented. If the ministry issues a statutory instrument, and when there was a statutory instrument that prohibited public vehicles to move after 21 hours, and there was an uproar. So that committee needed to see whether the statutory instrument that is issued was it issued in accordance with the law? How is it being implemented? Who does it injure? And things like that. So that also is a general purpose committee. And now coming specifically to the Public Accounts Committee, it is of course constituted under the standing order. And now we have the new standing orders of 2021. Now, in order to ensure that there is transparency in how this committee undertakes its business, that the chairperson of this committee is not from the ruling party. And that is for obvious reasons. Because this is a committee that is providing oversight over the executive. And so the chairperson of this committee, by standing orders, must be either an independent or from another organization, just to ensure there is accountability. Now there's also gender issues. The standing orders provide that if the chairperson is male, and of course from opposition, then the vice must be female. Unless, of course, there is no female in that committee. Yeah, but those are things that are dealt with as and when they arise. So, of course, the members, we have 10 members in each of these committees. Now, lately, we have had very pivotal acts of parliament, like the Planning and Budgeting Act of 2020. Previously, it was not mandatory for the Minister of Finance, for instance, to bring the borrowing plan to Parliament. Now, this act demands that as the Minister of Finance brings the budget for scrutiny to Parliament, it must also be accompanied by the borrowing plan. So that when Parliament approves the budget, it also approves the borrowing plan. There have been an uproar on how governments have borrowed, and sometimes excessively and things like that. So in order to place a cap on how much government can borrow, it is now a requirement as a result of this act for the Minister of Finance to present both the budget and the borrowing plan. So how does the committee undertake its work? Like I've already said, at the beginning of the year, of course, there is a program of work, which is generated by the officers and taken to the committee for approval. But most of the material that this committee deals with is generated by the Auditor General. That is why I think public accounts is one of the very popular committees, because of the nature of the work it does. So normally about September, December, the Auditor General is required to table before Parliament an audit of the accounts of the Republic. And so those are referred now to the Public Accounts Committee. And now when the Public Accounts Committee sits, it summons controlling officers, okay, that are responsible for all those queries that the Auditor General, that is why my namesake was talking about the liaison or the Senate between Parliament and the Auditor General's work. Actually, the Auditor General produces work to be considered by the Public Accounts Committee. The unfortunate part is that the institutions, the Auditor General and Public Accounts, are doing what is called ex post. I don't know if you understand what that means. You're talking about things that have already been done, and now you're just discovering them. Okay, that is what ex post means. Yeah, the two institutions come at the tail end. Money has been appropriated by Parliament, now it has been spent, now you want to look at how was it spent. And that has been one of the challenges of how can Parliament, especially at the Auditor General, of course the Auditor General cannot get involved before, because by nature of their function, they have to see how it was done. But there has been a complaint about how can Parliament get involved before the expenditure happens. Of course, they are appropriate, but now there has been a conflict of interest. If they appropriate and also spend, are they going to supervise? And so that is why now it has been difficult to involve Parliament in this process of spending, although they are now being involved as MPs in CDF. But that's the dichotomy that has been quite difficult to resolve when there has been calls about Parliament getting involved in the actual spending. But somehow it is happening because, like I said, because of the requirement that the Minister of Finance must bring the borrowing plan, it is also a requirement for the Minister to bring the National Development Plan for approval to Parliament. That is the new development as provided for in the Budgeting and Planning Act. Previously, these documents never used to see the doors of Parliament. But now, the Act provides that the National Development Plan must be considered and approved by Parliament. And after it has been approved, the Ministry of Finance must provide updates on how, quarterly updates, on how the National Development Plan is being implemented. This, of course, doesn't come to the Public Accounts Committee. It goes to the Planning and Budgeting Committee. That is the one now that looks at how the National Development Plan is being implemented. About transparency and accountability, like I said, these meetings are open to the public. Yeah, previously it was very hard for members of the public to come to Parliament, but now the rules have been relaxed. You could come to Parliament, for instance, previously if you were not in a jacket and a tie. But now a member of the public can come to Parliament as long as they are presented. You don't have to have a British necktie or something like that in order for you to attend. But if you are coming in that fashion, then you are coming just as an observer. But if you have to make a presentation, it has to be prior, that document has to be sent prior to your coming, which is called the submission, so that now the committee can have the prior screening of it before the actual meeting. Then the that can't just come to speak was yeah. So essentially, that is how. Sometimes, of course, there's what is called holding the meeting in camera, meaning that if there's a matter that is under the Public Accounts Committee and it is of maybe a security nature or sensitive nature, there is a request that the committee holds the meeting in camera. Now that sounds ironical because the camera doesn't hide. and yet you are saying the meeting must be held in camera. That means when the meeting is held in camera, the public and the media may not be allowed to listen in. But that is under special permission from the speaker. The institution that requires to be heard in camera, and most times it happens in the Ministry of Defense, they have to request and they have to convince the speaker that there is a genuine reason why members of the public or the press must not be interrogated. Yeah, essentially, this is how our parliament is trying to ensure accountability in matters of public finance. And I think the hottest matter now is CTF. And I think my colleagues, the two colleagues here who are very close to this, the Auditor General and the Minister of Local Government, who agree that it is now the hottest matter under consideration by Parliament. And I think they are going to be sitting after about April. Because like you're saying, there are 116, local government, 116 local government, local authorities, and they all have to come because this is a new thing. And each council has issues according to the findings of the Auditor General. Maybe we shall be having less as we go on, but at least each council has something irregular here. Some just blatant disregard. Like you're saying, the guidelines are very, very clear, even on how applications must be handled. If an application is rejected, how does the applicant get to know that his application was rejected and why? But sometimes, as human beings, like my namesake was saying, human beings don't do what you expect. They do what you inspect. Did you hear that? Human beings are prone not to do what you expect, but what you inspect. If there's no inspection, there's no doing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shimba. A round of applause for our panelists, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Mr. Shimba Mwelo from the Office of the Auditor General. We have Mr. Charles Chishimba from National Assembly, Mr. Bede Hector from the Ministry of Local Government, and Mr. Samson Kandala, a councillor from Shungu Ward of Livingstone. We will now open the floor for us, participants, and other stakeholders to interact with our panelists for any contributions or questions that we may have. So we'll take the first 3 rounds of questions or contributions. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
I think that this rolling mic, that we have both Corella and co-found. So please let's take precautions. We have these things here before the mic passes to the one person to the other. Just for our protection, please, let's
thank you. My question is directed to the Auditor General, Auditor General's office. I think based on what Mr. Chishimba indicated earlier about the oversight by Auditor General being exposed, are there any interventions that the Auditor General's office is doing to kind of ensure that there are less issues in the misuse of public resources? Because you'll find that even after you've done your audits, next year, similar issues will still come up. If the same issues will actually still come up. So is there anything that you do prior to your audits to ensure that you guide or you provide capacity building of these institutions that are actually spending the public resources? Because I think I've attended quite a few of these submissions from various local authorities in the Local Government Accounts Committee, and you find that even internal auditors will actually pass payments which we actually not even supposed to be request. So do you actually engage with these officers, if it's internal auditors or people that are involved in monitoring and evaluation, to actually guide them so that these issues actually posed as an institution are actually reduced? Thank you.
Good, good afternoon. My question there, this question is going to our young speaker. My question would be, can survive without CDS? Then the second question would be, the motion of the civil servants will be under the government. How are you going to implement?
The question is, can your ward survive without CTF and civil servants being under local government? Yes, how is that going to be implemented? The second question is to local government.
Thank you. Sebastian is my name, Chair WGC Ward 29. First, I want to agree, sympathize with the Honorable Councillor on his first submission, where he mentioned inside line or some of the projects being biased towards his ward against his ward. I think that's very, and I'm glad that there's something that's been done about it, especially that the ministry has actually assured that there is a review in some laws or policies that guide the same. And also, when I was going through this book, JCTR and national advocacy, I have seen them committing that they also try to engage the relevant stakeholders in reviewing some of these policies, which is a very good point. But maybe quickly to mention maybe we take too long, because as it stands, I think we are leaving office, should be next month, we are having elections, and I think capacity building hasn't been there to be sincere. And maybe we haven't done much. Not only that, I'm saying so because I'm serving for the third term in a WGC, and I know when I say capacity building has been lacking, although the other two terms that have served, I think we haven't received much. And yet the WGC, I think there is a lot of work that is involved to us, especially through the increase of CTF. Why it has been quite ineffective to some extent, it is because the WGCs who actually on the ground, I think there hasn't been much capacity given to them, because even just explaining to an ordinary resident or the what to make them understand the application process, it has been a challenge to some of the WGC members. And the time that we are having the orientation, it wasn't really adequate, it was done in a very quick manner, and there was a lot of things to cover. And since they haven't seen any capacity building activity, I think that has been lacking. And if you are charged as a ministry, maybe we can swift the process so that continuous capacity building is given to the WGCs. Otherwise, has been really a challenge. Even when someone engaged with the money application form, which is quite technical, it has been difficult. Some of us we are like because we are found in these places. where we are engaging with relevant stakeholders. Maybe we can have an understanding, and obviously from different capacity building programs, like from ActionAid, which has done very well in terms of building our spaces like this one. So my goal is that as we are talking about capacity building, let it be swift, so that before the WTCs leave office, at least there has been such kind of engagement. I have to quickly mention to say maybe the removing of, is it abolishing of what development fund by the local authority? I think that wasn't done in good faith. Obviously, there has been justification because of the increased CTF. But one of the reasons why you could see that development will be lagging behind from the area councillors' work, for example, maybe if we had the one development fund in place, you would have utilized the same fund other than depending entirely on CTF, also helping with what the system, the government data submitted to say, can you what survive without CTF? So the what development fund was quite helpful. It was quite helpful. At the moment we don't see it, and when we try to inquire, they say it has been consumed in the constituent development fund. So yes, we are saying so because it's no longer there. Previously, in my work, we used to receive it, we used to claim it. Yeah, and we could be given to say, this is the money that the local authority has sent from your work, and you maybe select some of the projects that can be done. So most of these drainages, small bridges, they could be done through the work development fund by then. At the moment, it's not there. So I think to be guided from the minister of that one, but also quickly, I want clarity when you mentioned that each WDC, it's a good move that now you brought about the WDCs. But I needed clarity why you said we need to submit our challenges. Do you mean challenges per ward, per district, per province? I mean, if we are to submit, you mentioned of a lot of work that we have so far, there are over 1,000. So are we getting those submissions per ward, or is it a district? And maybe some of these challenges are very common. It's something that we can address. Issues of office space is a challenge with WDs. Issues of stationery. It has been very difficult. When you come to my office, I have all the records on my PC. So if I try to do this to my PC, then you have no information on how many beneficiaries you've had under CTF. So it's important that we just consider those necessary common problems that WTCs might have, and maybe issue a directive like the way you've done to these CTF vehicles, no purchase watch, duty balances. You can also do the same with the WTCs. Otherwise, if we are saying that each WTC submits according to that, it could be a challenge and implementation already developed.
Thank you so much. We will allow our panelists to respond to those three questions.
I will address the one on my colleague from here was asking what intervention we do to ensure that issues are addressed before they happen. But the way our office is configured by the Constitution and other statutes is that we are not part of the institution. We come in after you have finished operations like my namesake alluded to. The mandate to ensure that the event will not happen rests with the internal auditors. So the internal auditor's responsibility to ensure that things are done correctly before the actual payments or processing or anything is done. It's unfortunate that things still go unnoticed, or sometimes wrong things still happen. From our end, like I indicated earlier on, what we have embarked on is to sit with the internal auditors, our principal officers, and other key senior staff to capacitate them, to bring to the fore to them that this is what is the root cause of the wrongs that we come and find here. This we are working with the Ministry of Finance, and also there's the Separate Provision Program, which has also come on board in capacity. And there are certain conditions that these local authorities have been given to meet if they qualify to get that grant. With that, of course, the conditionalities hinge on them performing prudently in the management of resources. So we hope that with those programs that because for some reason, as a human being again, when there's no motivation in terms of finance or maybe a bag of minimum, you are inclined to just relax and do whatever you want to do. But when you're told, if you do this, we'll give you a bag of minimum, you jump up and start doing the right thing. So I'll tell you that for last year, when we were auditing the local authorities, they were relaxed to bring back the financial statements. But when we engaged the Minister of Finance and they were told if you do not act and bring the financial statements, you will not get equalization fund. I can tell you that they all came running, not only the treasurers of the finance, they were coming with their TCs and the council secretary. Because they were told that you want to take out if you don't take the money. So in the same vein, the devolution program has also come in conditions where they are told if you do not achieve ABC, and most of them actually have to do the audits, you will not get a grant from the World Bank. They start sitting up and start now coming to ask what is it that we're supposed to do, how do we proceed with this? So we said, okay, then let's have this capacity building so that from the onset they are given the knowledge of what is expected. We hope that they will start doing the right thing. But unfortunately, as they are operating, we are hands off. So,
over to you, Mr. Hector.
All right, thank you so much. I think the first question was how is operationalizing the attachment of civil servants coming from the devolved ministries. So in terms of reporting, they've been attached to the local authority. So they're under local government in terms of their work for day-to-day activities. But for now, in terms of their salaries, their current ministry will continue paying them. So in terms of salaries, the current ministry will continue paying them their salaries. But in terms of work, they will be attached. They are now actually they've been attached to the local authorities. I hope that clarifies the question. No. So your question is how are we going to ensure that, or how are we implementing the attachment of civil servants to local authorities?
How can local government be in charge of whatever? How do they come?
The local government in charge of civil servants and how do they come in?
Local government?
Yes.
No, it's law now. They've been directed to do so. So now local government is in charge of them.
They'll be making their duties and functions, responsibilities will be under the
Local government, yes.
but separated by salary.
For now, it's an interim measure because we're in a transition to. So I think a time will come where now even their salaries they will come from local government. But for now, it's just a measure in terms of working. They will report that they'll be working under the Ministry of Local Government. But only the pay will come from elsewhere.
So my other question would be, local government, would it survive without CDF? Because this CDF has only been active these few 2 years since.
Local government, I think, has survived for a long time without CDF, so it will survive. However, CDF is now low actually, so we will run with it as long as it is our responsibility. CDF is just a component of what local government is all about.
So, another question. Would it be like, because if you look at the provisions that the Zambia, like, can you be, what is CDF working at? Like, other local, other provinces in Zambia, in Lusaka, we can't survive without CDF because we got other means. But the shocking part is, you say you people have been surviving without CDF. What about your workers who work under local government without getting paid for months?
Our contribution is, she's asking whether CTF, other parts of local government can contribute to function without CTF, seeing that CTF has become such a priority discussion. And what happens to other areas also? Lusaka is more accessible with various opportunities that is more likely to do well if without CTF. What happens to other areas in the absence of CTF? Workers without pay.
CDF it's not an operational fund. Okay, so it's separate from the administration, the normal administrative issues of local government. So CDF will not mix with the day-to-day operations of local authorities. Local authorities are mandated to generate their own resources to support service delivery of their administrative operations. Okay, and there are also actually other sources of funds that support the operations of local authorities, like the equalization funds, rates, what do you call that? Yeah, there are other funds that are given to local authorities to support their operations. So CTF is just meant for development. It is just meant for development. So the workers in councils, they will never get paid from CTF. So it is not meant to pay.
That's the question.
The question is, you say that you survive, but what is it that the other workers from your ministry, local government, they go without getting paid? Why?
It's an issue of how much revenue they're able to generate. Okay, so if they are unable to generate enough revenue to support, and that's where now the ministry comes. I think the ministry has been, supporting local authorities so that they clear their areas of, if there are councils that are in arrears, the ministry do support these local authorities to pay their workers. So as we come, I think there was, I don't know, there's a hand that still have.
Let me respond to the last comment. I think the last submission was directed towards Mr. Kandala, but you can quickly conclude as well.
I think there was on capacity building. I think that's, WTC in terms of capacity building. I think it was a concern that I think has not seen so much. So it's something that we have prioritized, and it is been ongoing. Perhaps it has not just been robust, but it's an ongoing activity that is being undertaken. And I think even the after the elections now, we'll have some more trainings coming. The initial one, I agree with you. The time that the the initial trainings were done, we had COVID, there were faced issues, and there are those challenges. It wasn't really, robust, but we have planned to ensure that you have these, capacity building activities. And that's why in my presentation I highlighted to say WTCs, because you report to law. So we have guided that WTCs come up with your budgets and work plans, okay, that are going to be supported. So in your work plans, some of the things you might want to put in capacity building activities and where exactly you need capacity. Okay, so it's something that I've said with the local authorities guide the WTCs so that they come up with their work plan. So that even as you are being supported, we are supporting you based on what you have said you are going to do. Of course, there's an issue of, I think, the infrastructure that is noted, and I think as a ministry we're going to give direction very soon. For your own information, there are wards where they are building, they have already started building offices. Okay, they've already approved their building offices, and that's something which is happening, but we'll give a position of how this are going to attend to those needs. Issues of equipment, I think we've directed. Those are some of, that's your budget, that's your work plan. So as WTC, provide that to your local authority so that those things can be supported. I think those were the queries I captured.
Yeah, just in addition, are we submitting as individual words or are we submitting as a district?
You are in a constituency,
Yes.
and as a ward, you are under a local authority. So you are submitting as a ward. So that is, it's as a ward, you actually should have a ward development plan, which fits into the district or constituency development plan. So it is your plan as a ward. That's why you are a structure recognized. So come up with your plans, submit them for support.
And how does, I'm worried, so how will resources be distributed? The local authority remains the custodian of the funds, and yes, we apply, we need certain resources through our plan. How are the resources going to be channeled to the actual work? Because of that, someone don't have accounts, for example.
Have you been supported before under CDF in your ward? Anything that has come from the local authority supporting operations?
They did this year, though they misprioritized.
Okay, so it's the way, so I don't want to go into the misprioritization, but the mechanism of support, it will follow the same channel. So just to bring you up to speed, under your mandate as a WTC is beyond CDF. I hope you appreciate that. It is beyond CDF. And in terms of, if you look at, having an account, having what, it's you are mandated to do those things as a ward. You're supposed to actually be generating income and assist the local authority and remit to the local authority. So your mandate is wide. It's beyond CDF. So it's you are mandated to do that. If you have an account, you request to channel our money in this mechanism that is provided in the law.
We are trying to create it because the support that came, we are not consulted that.
So now plan. My word to you, plan so that they support you based on your plan as a ward. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr.
That's on the same point. Sir, like for you, this is the first time we're hearing about that. Why don't you have a secular so that all the 6 postures that are there and how they're going to be structured, or they're already structured, but how the funds are going to be channeled? For instance, we received a circular from the local government for the leadership of WDC. That's how it's supposed to happen. So I was just thinking, not attending this meeting would have noticed that the WDC have to come up with action plan. It's just appeal that maybe you circulate the circular so that all the 156 constituents are aware that WDCs. And we appreciate, because that's one of the actions which we had in Livingstone, that they need some motivation. So it's a good to hear that they can apply. But my appeal is to just have a circular, so that we have a system. Say, well, how did you know? No, there's a circular from the local government. That's why we are having an action plan and the budget attached to it.
We did actually like all of it. There was a circular to that effect last year, and we've also re-emphasized it, implementation circular for this year. So it's yet to the one for this year is yet to be to be given, to be circulated, but it's one of the action points that we have actually put and emphasize that WDCs should budget, and they should be funded based on their needs.
Just on the same point on capacity, WDC, how do they manage their funds? Do they have an accountant or something, or can they do it?
We have WDCs, but they're not so. Yeah, can we hear?
Yeah.
We want to hear the practice.
Chawama.
Yeah, let's hear.
Please do share your experiences with us.
Like us in Shawama Ward 2, we have a committee which is in charge of finance, we call it finance committee. Because the WDC has subcommittees, there's infrastructure, there's finance, and there's social and economic committee. So those committees, like the finance, because that person is asking about the finance. There's the treasurer with the WDC, who is part of that finance committee. So that finance committee also has a chair, the one who looks into the finances of the WDC. That's how we do it.
But this question is that capacity. Are they qualified?
Yes, we have that, because the people who are elected, they can do that work without any problem. Like in our ward, we were told that you open an account for your ward, and that's what we did. And we were asking the people, CDF and the council, since we opened an account, nothing has been deposited. The account is there, but nothing has been deposited in our account. So we are still waiting, and we don't know what to do with our account. The treasurer is there. So we need to be guided and helped on that. The other thing is what the local government is telling us, that each ward should come up with a budget. I think that one is a bit dangerous, because some wards, they know how to write. They will come up with a very big figure, what I do. So it is better, these figures coming from the local government, we are giving, if it is 1,000 to each one, that way it is going to help. Then for us to make a budget, which is good, we can do that. But it's also good for the local government to have something that this is what we can do. Like what they are saying, 1 million, they allow the contractor, the procurement people to sign. About that, other people should do. And also, to the warrants, it must be the same. If we don't do that, then other warrants will come up with a very big budget. Others will come with a small budget, of which it will be another problem. It must be uniform. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we've heard from the WTCs on how they're managing their finances. I hope that answers your questions regarding that matter. But unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I'll just allow Mr. Kandala to respond briefly so that we can close off our meeting on time.
Thank you very much. I'll answer on the comment you made for WDF. The WDF, which is World Development Fund, has not been abolished. That's one thing I can ascertain. There is a component, it's by law, 5% of the locally generated income is called World Development Fund. It's the one all the words in a certain district will share. So what happens with that? It has a certain guidelines also. You know, like in Livingstone, the practice is each ward has an account. I think this one I also answer the question for. Each account is open and each ward has a file. So each account is not run by the WTC treasurer, no. But the director finance of a local authority is the one that monitors and does the operations of that account. Yours as a committee is to know the activities of the account, what has been put in, if it's from the local authority. Then if it is from well-wishers, I think there was a time we even built a small bridge in Shungu Ward from well-wishers. So if a well-wisher wants to donate, they will donate to the WDF account for Shungu Ward at the local authority, and you will be served with the information as a committee or as a treasurer. And then when it comes to you withdrawing, you put it in writing to the principal officer to say from the amount so much from the donated funds for this bridge. You even produce minutes of meetings where you even engage the community, say this is what we're trying to work on with this funding. It has come from this organization, so that the director of finance knows how much is supposed to be generated towards that. So if there is a contractor, the director of finance will be the one to do the paperwork and pay the contractor. So the money will never land in the hands of the WDC. The WDC will never catch the money and pay the contractor, no. The technocrat at the local authority is the one with that mandate. But for you, is for your information. The same applies to the WDF, the World Development Fund. Now, the challenge we have with the World Development Fund is, since it's the locally generated income, it has to wait for the end of the year for you to determine how much you have generated in that year. Now, that one again is challenged by an audit SI. There's an audit SI, so you cannot carry over, even if it's World Fund. If you use 70,000 kwacha and remain with maybe 30,000 kwacha, in the new budget, it will not, that 10,000 kwacha will not be carried over. So meaning you are supposed to exhaust the World Fund for 2024 in 2024. So there's a challenge there because it contradicts a bit with the 5% of the locally generated income for that year. So you find that by the time you are revealing what you have made, it's in December, what you've made for the year. Now you want to do a project. How do you do a project within a week? So you find that there are challenges like in Livingstone where technocrats do it deliberately by not funding, because if today they raise 10,000 kwacha, 5% they're supposed to deposit in each. But they don't do that because in the budget they'll submit what fund 100,000 kwacha. How they land to that, we don't know because already it doesn't determine the 5%. Unless they are sure to say, let's say they'll raise money which has a 5% of that amount, but which is not always the case. So there's always, I think even WDF needs to be revisited on how its measures are going to be put in place, because this is why we are failing in Livingstone to access. Find that this year, last year they funded only 4 wards. Other wards got 70,000, other wards got 60,000, other wards have not gotten anything. And then they can't claim in 2024. So that's another challenge.
Yeah, from the financial regulations, I think what it is doing in that challenge is you ask for retention through the local parliament and those that can expect.
Then the other question for survival of Shungu Ward without CTF. CTF was introduced in 1995. 95, yes. It has been gradually increasing. In MMD, it used to be 600,000 kwacha for the whole constituency. So you find that by the time of 5 years is clocking, maybe the constituency has only had one small project. I remember in Livingstone there was a mother's shelter at the Moncha, which was done under 600,000 kwacha. And that made the MP be re-elected. Now you look at what has happened now, that from there it went, during PF it came to 1.5. And sometimes it wouldn't even come into the account. But now it was 25.7, now it's 30 million point 6. Okay, so when you look at this, what has happened in Shungu Ward? When we started working in Shungu Ward for these projects, people were coming to watch because it was their first time. Other words, this is the first time they are seeing how a blender looks like. So a lot has, we can appreciate to say it has been there, but now it has been enhanced to reach the grassroots. This is why we are looking at us like cementing the control measures and how this, because it's a growing fund and the measures have to be also put in place. It has been there since Chiruba, but then it was not that impactful. I think that's how we can say it with the survival. It is not easy to survive without CTF because central government does not know where Simasiku village is in Shungu Ward. Central government doesn't know where Izungu village is and what challenges they have. So before, where projects were being done in Lusaka, to determine other consequences, it was difficult for development to trickle down. But now it has been brought to the people. When the decision is being brought from the grassroots up there. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our panelists for their insightful perspectives and information that they have shared with us today. And it's already past 13 and our lunch is ready. Unfortunately, I have to cut our conversation short. I hope we can continue some of these discussions over lunch and use that opportunity to network and get more insights into some of the issues that we may still have. So before we close off our meeting, I would like to invite our manager, Jimba from JCTR, to give us our closing remarks. A round of applause for our panelists, please. They did a good job responding to our questions.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I thought you were clapping for me. Clearly, I didn't do anything. Allow me to write on the protocols that were already established when we started the meeting. My role this afternoon is really just to thank you all for being here today. The primary objective that we had when we envisioned to implement this activity was to really share information. And you can even see from the discussions, from the burning issues, from questions that may have not even been answered or have even been asked, there's still a lot more work that we can do together in this journey of development. So really, I would encourage all of us, when as we live here, get contacts. You don't know who you may collaborate with on one adventure. And for us, from our side as JCTR, where we can, be it in Shungu, be it at national office, we'll still continue to engage on these important issues. To partners, those that have been mentioned, the
the Ministry, National Assembly, who are constantly inviting us to utilize the platforms available. We certainly don't take them for granted. So I just thank you all. I would like to wish you a blessed afternoon and a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I think we can officially call our meeting to a close. I'd like to thank you all for coming and sharing your various perspectives during this meeting. Your insights are very appreciated and continue to be valuable in our advocacy. Before we leave, we would like to invite everyone, I think we can utilize the space where our panelists are already sitting for a group picture. And also, before we leave the room, please see Secretariat just at the front desk there. Brenda will be able to attend to us for logistics. Thank you.